And good evening to you. Waiting for some folks to hop on, but we now do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for most of the Wobbles region here this evening. This runs until 8 o'clock, so we do have about 45 minutes left on this severe thunderstorm warning. What you're looking at right now, you see the radar bottom left. What you're looking at is the shelf cloud with this one pushing into downtown Bowling Green as we speak. They're on the upper, kind of the center, just to the right of center of the screen there. That is Bowling Green Ballpark. Obviously, the game there tonight against Hub City is in a weather delay. It is Winning and White Claw Wednesday at the Hot Rods. So any folks out there definitely should be seeking shelter. Playing against tonight, I love minor league baseball names, the Hub City Spartanburgers. Which is excellent, but not the night that you'd want to be out there because of this storm moving in. You see the shelf cloud pushing in right now, winds to 60 miles per hour possible with this. Let's pull the radar up full screen. You can see just exactly who is in and who is out of this polygon. It's most of us throughout the Wobbles region here this evening. Severe thunderstorm warning takes in most of Edmonson County, much of Warren County, as well as just about all of Simpson County and the southeastern portions of Logan County as well. Yes, Logan, Hart just outside of the area there, Edmonton, Hart, Logan, Simpson, and Warren counties, and we are seeing quite the shelf pushing on in with this thunderstorm that's about to push into downtown Bowling Green. Let's pull it up full screen again. This is the view from the D93 Skycam, which is overlooking downtown from the WDNS building there, and you can see the shelf cloud pushing in. You see that gray in the distance. That is the heavy rain that is pushing in as this thunderstorm pushes right on into the Bowling Green area at this time, and it is basically moving into downtown right now. Winds to 60 miles per hour, a possibility with this thunderstorm, as well as some smaller hail. Hail not really a big issue with these storms. It's so warm out that any hail is likely melting as it falls to the ground. But we do have this severe thunderstorm warning that's pushing in, and the main threat is going to be here, winds to 60 miles per hour as these continue to push on through. Just going to adjust the downtown camera there to really watch this shelf. Can I zoom out anymore? No. But really working on through. This is, again, the view from downtown. There you see the Daily News building there, right at the bottom of the picture, right behind the banner, actually, there on the bottom of the screen. Bowling Green Ballpark there in the distance. As this continues to push on into the region at this hour, and we are here about 7:20 on this Wednesday evening, the day before Juneteenth, and we are watching plenty of very heavy rain and gusty winds pushing into downtown Bowling Green at this time. Not just Bowling Green, of course, also into places like downtown Brownsville and over toward Auburn as well, dealing with some very heavy rain. Folks who may be joining us, if you're in Morgantown, if you are in Russellville, you're done with this one as this pushes on through. This is a line of storms. While it's possible we'll see more storms as we head through the nighttime hours, I think this is our shot at severe weather as this pushes on through. What a shot. I'm going to take you, one of our followers on X has brought in just a gorgeous shot of the shelf cloud pushing in. See here, let's pull that up. You can see another view of that shelf, and what's interesting about that too is you can actually see some of the sunlight in the distance from behind these storms as they push on through. Brooks says terrible in Round Hill. I would believe it as that is pushing on through. The picture you're seeing full screen here, that is from Plum Springs. Some of our other cameras below, you're seeing the structure of that storm from our Sexton Bin Builders Skycam overlooking Gold City, and then a beautiful view of the storms in the distance from our WPBM Barren River Lake camera. That is they're very close to the Allen and Barron County line. Let's actually pull up. This is the view from at least a few minutes ago from Brownsville. Let me update. Let me make sure that we've got the latest image there from that. There's a picture of Barren River Lake pulling up the latest. Yeah, it is pouring in Brownsville right now. Now that we've updated our Reed Dossie House Skycam. Is that pushes on through here this evening, and we're just past 8:20 or 7:20, excuse me, 8:20 for our friends over in the Eastern Time Zone, and we will continue to watch this very heavy rain push on into the region. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. Notably, this is not a tornado warning. The likelihood for tornadoes is pretty small in instances like this, where we're dealing with a line of storms pushing in. You can never completely rule out a quick spin-up tornado. These are not going to be your kind of big-time, big tornadoes that push through. These would be a quick spin-up, and I don't see any evidence of that right now. This is not an issue where we're dealing with a huge issue. The best laid plans, folks. If you're joining us back here again, we're getting there. We took a power hit, which happens occasionally when you're dealing with storms like this. Didn't keep us off for very long. What I was saying, these storms have, in some cases, been exhibiting a little bit of broad rotation, but nothing alarming as these continue to push on through. We still do have that severe thunderstorm warning running until 8 o'clock for most of the region. Does not include, at this point, Barron County or Allen County, but does include southeastern Russell, southeast side of Russellville, southeastern Logan County, into all of Simpson County, through Warren County, where we're looking at the shot there. We had it up there from Bowling Green, with the storms pushing through there, and then up towards downtown Scottsville soon, but downtown Brownsville right now, the big issue with this pushing on through at this point. It's funny how we lost just enough to knock out the streaming computer, and one of my monitors up here, the monitor with NWS chat, stayed up, of course. Everything here is moving about 40 to 50 miles an hour. Okay, they put this at 30. All these storms, these are little individual storms that are all kind of moving at a slightly different speed as they congeal together into the main line. And this will take a little bit to get through the area. It's not going to be, any kind of widespread, huge, severe weather outbreak or anything. But we're going to have to watch for 60-mile-per-hour gusts with these storms as they push on through. We have not gotten any reports of that yet. Pushing through, let's check some of our Radar Omega cyclone port stations and see what they've got, what they've picked up. 5-minute gust to 25 downtown. Bowling Green, the storms aren't there yet, which would make sense. We peaked in Russellville. I don't have that data on me. Let's see, I don't have that data. Do that. Earlier, Morgantown, where everything's passed, Morgantown gusted to about 30 a little while ago when the storms passed through, but they've intensified as they push to the east over the last little bit here. Still out ahead of the storms in many spots, but areas like downtown Brownsville getting absolutely hammered with heavy rain, likely a little bit of small hail. This is going to be continuing to push off to the east at about 30 to 40 miles per hour over the next little bit here. Brownsville, Lindsayville, Windyville, you're getting it right now. Pushing further to the east, we're talking Galebiot, we're talking Rhoda, we're talking Arthur and Elko up to Stockholm there in Edmonson County, out toward Pig and Cedar Spring as well here before too long, watching these storms begin to push through. Into Warren County now, dealing with some downpours pushing on in. I know they have delayed the Hot Rods game tonight. They're playing, again, we talked about this earlier if you're with us on the first stream. They are playing... It's loading the Hub City Spartanburgers. Whoa! What a shot! I don't know if you saw it there at the bottom of the screen. A heck of a bolt in the distance there, which is why the game's been delayed. Part of the reason, in addition to rain on a baseball surface, but also the threat of lightning. And we just saw one heck of a bolt on our D93 Skycam as that pushes on through. We'll continue to watch these push to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So downtown Bowling Green, it's headed for you. If any students are on campus for any reason, obviously summer break is going on, but if anyone is maintaining residence on campus or anything, it'll be pushing in here within the next little bit, landing from a southern parts of Warren County, saying the wind and lightning is wild there in there at his house there on the southern side of Bowling Green, so southern western side of town. So one heck of a light show pushing in, along with the very heavy rain and the potential for gusty winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. Maybe some small hail with this. I'm not looking at a huge hail threat with these storms, but if we're seeing any, probably near Auburn, down 6880 area to watch. Same thing just north of Brownsville. Just moved past Lindsayville and south of Sweden there, east of 259. So if we're seeing hail, that's where it is. But the main threat continues to be winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. So let's attempt to put a track on this as this pushes off to the east. I'm going to try the linear mode here, which I've always found loves me. Hey, it worked! Alright, let's push this to the east at 30 and see where we're going. Bowling Green here in about 6 minutes. It's downtown. Obviously, it's just about on top of you now. Plano area there, southern parts of Warren County here in about 15 minutes. Plum Springs, same thing. Woodburn, about 17 minutes. That would take us to about 7:47. Drake here by about 7:50. Boyce here at about 7:52. Talking Allen Springs here by about a little before 8 o'clock. Gold City here in about half an hour. Oakland here in about half an hour as you get towards Oakland and Smiths Grove. And, of course, local South Central Kentucky treasure Buc-ee's. It is time to hunker down with the Beaver Nuggets there as the storms are on the way, pushing on through. I will say, had my first beef brisket sandwich at the Smiths Grove Buc-ee's a couple of weeks ago, and it was fantastic. So, not an ad, just a fan. Anyway, Three Forks here by about 8:01. Kepler by about 8:01. Talking Franklin here by about 8:03. That'll be just after the threat, or that'll be actually just after the warning expires. We'll see if the National Weather Service decides to issue this warning further east into Allen and Barron counties as this pushes onto the east. No issues there at the moment of anything that jumps out to me. Yeah, we may have a little bit of broad rotation in some spots, but that's not uncommon along the leading edge of some of these lines of storms. And obviously any tornado that would develop would be very quick. It would be very brief. We're not talking about large, long track tornadoes in this scenario. The main threat by far would be the potential for damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. So not looking for much in the way of tornadic activity. I'm not going to completely rule it out, but these would be very quick tornadoes that can happen between radar scans that are notoriously hard to track, but they don't last very long. And they're not your big type tornado. However, they can still do damage. The good news is we are seeing no indication of that at this point. Very messy straight line wind producing storms as these continue to push through south central Kentucky at this time. And let me tell you, Pete just got us a beautiful shot of the whale's mouth, which is the underside of that shelf cloud with very turbulent winds as we're pushing that rain on in. This is looking... This is looking south. Pete here on X sending us that shot. Let me find it here. I got a lot of scenes going on. And we'll push that there onto the screen. You can see quite a bit in the way of the view there. That's what we call the whale's mouth because it looks like the underside of a whale's mouth. As that pushes through. And that's just the turbulent winds as things are being pushed out ahead of that storm. So great shot there as these storms continue to push to the east. Folks just hopping on. The potential still there for the damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour pushing on through as these are working in. No tornado warnings. I want to make that clear. No tornado warnings in effect. We still technically have a tornado watch for Logan and Butler counties this evening. That is set to expire at... let's see here. What do we have on that tornado watch? Well, it's not wanting to pull up for me. Technically, it expires at 8 o'clock. They'll let it go at 8 o'clock, I would imagine. The rest of Wobbles is under a severe thunderstorm watch until midnight. I don't expect it to last until midnight. We're on the western edge of that severe thunderstorm watch, and if you back on out, you see these counties that are shaded in yellow, or at least outlined in yellow, goes all the way up into West Virginia and Ohio. That's why that warning, or that's why the watch goes until midnight or 1 a.m. Eastern out that way. For us, I imagine once this line of storms pushes through, the severe threat is pretty low as we continue to push on through over the next little bit or so. This warning goes until 8 o'clock. I can actually see that getting pushed to the east if these storms maintain their intensity. But downtown Bowling Green now, you see the camera shaking. We'll pop the camera up full screen. You can see what we're talking about. The camera shaking from the wind pushing through. Let's look at, you see the camera, the sensor there. We've maxed to 60-second gusts to 19.7 miles an hour at the D93 building there as these storms are pushing in. So right now, no severe gusts at the moment. Doesn't mean it's not capable of producing those gusts as these continue to push on through. Again, no tornado warnings here. We have the severe thunderstorm warning that basically bisects the area from Edmonson County down through Warren County, through Simpson and southeastern Logan counties. So folks like Russellville were done, Lewisburg were done, and then out toward Morgantown, you're finished. With the severe weather, you could see some storms a little bit later on tonight. You see those storms popping back out to the west on the radar there, bottom left part of the screen. I'll take the radar back full and you can see what I'm talking about. The storms are forming back out there, but the thing with these is they are going to be moving into an environment that has been rather worked over, and it won't have the fuel to continue to develop as we head into the overnight hours, especially as the sun goes down. We're not too far away from sunset either, which would very much help the threat go down as we lose the daytime heating. And combine that with the storms moving through, and we've pretty much sapped the storm fuel once these push on through. So not done. Round Hill, Ashley saying Round Hill and Butler County crazy. I can't really tell what south of Adairville is doing. Not much right now. It's pretty weak. Steph's asking, well, downtown Russellville's finished, but areas east of Russellville still dealing with the heaviest of the rain. Corinth up to Auburn, up 68-80, pushing to the east toward Rockfield. And in fact, in Rockfield, Kate sends us this view of the Whale's Mouth again, pushing through Rockfield. From a little bit earlier, Kate on X sends us this view of the Whale's Mouth. And actually, you can see, if you look, I don't know if my cursor, no, you can't. I've turned that off. But down there at the bottom left part of that picture, you can actually see the shield of rain pushing in behind those storms as that pushes to the east. But that you see the Whale's Mouth, that is just the turbulent wind behind the storms that have pushed, or behind the leading edge of the storms that have pushed on through. So Kate, an absolutely gorgeous shot there of the we call it the Whale's Mouth effect as those storms push on to the east. Pull up the radar full screen again. Our folks throughout much of the region still dealing with a severe thunderstorm warning until 8 o'clock, so we got another 22 minutes or so on this warning. Downtown Brownsville getting it right now with some very heavy rain and potentially gusty winds. Upwards of 60 miles per hour. This is pushing now toward Elko and Pig. Stockholm and Arthur, Rhoda, Collegiate right now pushing on through with the very heavy rains. The very heavy rain is a certainty. That's about the only thing we can be completely certain you'll see is the very heavy rain as these storms push through. Downtown Bowling Green, very heavy rain pushing through right now. If you know anybody driving up or down I-165 right now, I would tell them to go ahead and pull off because you have some very heavy rain as that pushes through. Lucas is asking what direction of the D93 Skycam facing. West. I believe I have it facing west to south, west and northwest. Right now from where those storms were pushing in. Nikki says, hail in the Briar Creek area near Nolan Lake. I believe it. Dealing with some very heavy reflectivity returns up that way. So it's not out of the question that we saw some hail up that way as well. Auburn getting in. Auburn to South Union. Very, very hefty looking storm here as that continues to push on to the east and the northeast, into the northeast portions of Logan County at this time. We've added a flood advisory for Edmondson, parts of Edmondson County through the evening hours because of the heavy rain. Looking at the map, in the northern side of Edmondson County under that flood advisory, flooding caused by excessive rainfall. That runs through 1045. Ongoing, obviously minor flooding is already ongoing. Troy saying ponding in his driveway in Morgantown. Yeah, it doesn't take much to drop a lot of rain in a very short period of time with these storms that are pushing in. Checking a couple of metrics here. Heck of a light show there on the D93 Skycam. But very outflow dominated storms. Well, they're getting there. They will soon be outflow dominated. Leanne's asking about Adolphus. We got a little bit to go before these storms start to push toward Adolphus. These storms are headed your way. The potential for 50 to 60 mile per hour winds will be pushing through before the night's over. So far, we've had no reports of severe weather, and that is a good thing. But this line of storms has produced severe weather in other parts of the region. I just saw a report from the Weather Service that the airport in Frankfurt, the capital city, gusted to 58 a little bit earlier with these storms that push through. So, yeah, these storms throughout the whole line, and obviously once you get up that way, they're just a little bit closer. They have a hair better wind energy than we have down here. Looking at the storms pushing through. Kathleen says hail on Dickies Mill Road. Morgan says a lot of rain and thunder in Collegiate, which I believe. Excuse me, because that leading edge pushing through Collegiate now and continues to push on toward Bowling Green. We still haven't gotten the... in fact, we'll pull up the latest. Our 60-second gust is 19. Our 5-minute gust has been about 26. So nothing too crazy there. Let me just double check one thing here. One thing or another. The airport, the Bowling Green Warren County Airport has gusted to 32. So we're not quite to severe levels at all, really, there. It's going to check Glasgow, but nothing's happened in Glasgow yet. So again, we still have our severe thunderstorm warning for eastern Logan, most of Simpson, all just about of Warren, and most of Edmonson County, running until 8 o'clock. Threat with these up to 60-mile-per-hour winds and hail to the size, penny or smaller size hail. We haven't seen any reports of huge hail with these pushing through, which is a good sign, and to be expected. We're not dealing with an environment that's overly conducive to a lot of hail with these storms. And let me tell you, once you get behind these storms, your severe weather threat is done. Josh Hampton sending this photograph in of a double rainbow all the way across the sky there on the backside of these storms, because once these storms push through, you're actually going to see the sun setting. As the sun gets lower in the western sky, we're going to start to see the rays of the sun kind of get up under some of these storms that are trying to pop out west, which should provide us with just enough sunshine to get maybe a little bit of rainbow activity, and there we go. Josh Hampton sending that in to our very own Landon Hampton, who is tweeting, helping tweet for us, of course. Posting on X, we should say, at this point. Throw the radar back on the screen. You'll see what we're dealing with at this juncture, which at this point is plenty of rain. And the calling card of what we'd call a QLCS, quasi-linear convective system. The weaviness. Storms popping out just ahead. Man, what a light show. And that will continue to push on off to the east. You see the waviness there indicating the individual storms that are interacting with one another. Not great wind energy down here. Just enough wind energy for the potential for some winds gusting to 60 miles per hour at times. But so far, not a whole lot going on when it comes to the severe weather. We do have the severe thunderstorm warning that runs until 8 o'clock, but we have had, at this point, no reports into the Weather Service of any damage or anything like that. A little bit earlier. Wow, here's a great shot. Jason May sends us this photo from Franklin, looking northeast. Or northwest, I should say, from Franklin, which makes sense because these storms are pushing toward Franklin, albeit slowly. There's the view of the shelf cloud over his neighborhood that's getting ready to push through, and you can actually see that from our camera down on the bottom. That's the second camera from the left. That's our Sexton Bin Builder Skycam in Gold City, and you can actually see that beginning to push through there as well. Once we get that fully loaded. But a beautiful shot of these shelf clouds pushing on through. That very well could be the scariest part of the storm that we see tonight, because these storms have not produced much in the way of damage. We have heard no reports of any damage or reports of high wind gusts thus far in the WABBLES region. Some reports of hail, but it hasn't been huge hail. It's been mostly small hail. Pushing on through. So again, no major issues so far. So far, so good. But it is something that we will be watching, because our severe threat's not done until these storms finally push on through. Trying to get a shot here from our Sexton. There we go. Trying to get a shot from our Sexton Bin Builder Skycam of that shelf cloud pushing on through. Here's the view from Gold City from our Sexton Bin Builder Skycam. You can see that's the leading edge of the strong winds pushing through. And if you look real close on the radar, you can see a thin little line. It's tough to see because it's individual pixels, but you could see it from Woodburn down to Price's Mill. That's the outflow boundary. So in order to stay alive, the storms, they breathe in the warm, moist air, and they exhale the cooler air. And if the storms don't have a good enough tailpipe, as it were, to exhaust that outflow, the cooler air on the backside of it, so that they can keep breathing in warm air, you get these outflow boundaries. They're kind of miniature cold fronts as these storms push through. Kind of hard to see when I don't have the radar full screen, but you get the gist as we bring that full. You see what that is. That's what we're seeing. That right there is what we're seeing on the camera down there. It's the leading edge. We're starting to get that rain-cooled air pushing out ahead of the storms. And that usually means we're going to start to see those storms begin to weaken over the next little bit. Several folks saying their power is out in Memphis Junction, so not out of the realm of possibility that we saw some damaging wind gusts out that way. Potentially, that knocked power out toward Memphis Junction. That shelf cloud is becoming more defined. That is a beauty. That's our second camera there from the... it's the second camera from the left there. Pushing on through. That first camera, that is the at the bottom of the screen. That's the D93 Skycam in downtown. Just outside of Bowling Green Ballpark, where the game is delayed. I know it is promo night, winning in White Claw Wednesday. Power out, Blue Level in Providence. Asking about when will it pass Auburn. It's going to be a little bit. The heaviest of the wind is going to be along the leading edge of these storms, so really you're just dealing with some very heavy rain with these storms. Trey, a good point here. Be careful the semis on 65. Wind has them swerving. Yeah, these are windy storms. The leading edge of these are going to be very gusty winds, and it's going to take a little bit to get them through here. So it's going to be a minute before we can sound the all clear. Just checking the airport, Bowling Green, Warren County Airport. Did not have a wind report. The highest gust we've seen at the Bowling Green, Warren County Airport so far has been 32 miles per hour. That's not to say we're not seeing potentially damaging winds elsewhere, but so far so good when it comes to the potential for damaging winds. But judging by the fact that we've seen several folks say they've lost power, it's likely we've seen at least some gusts close to severe because we were starting to knock power out. And if you'll bear with us... Oh, no, we don't want that one. At the moment, BGMU not reporting any outages in the city. But I'd imagine we're likely going to start to see plenty of outages from Warren RECC out near Auburn, South Union. About 900 customers without power, about 855 at this point. And then a few more now near Lindsayville, out there into Edmonson County, power out there. Sporadic outages throughout Warren County. 22 customers predicted to be without power out toward Hammett Mill Road, Cox Thomas Road. About 860 out there along 6880. Right where Warren, Logan, and Simpson counties all kind of come together right there, which makes sense. We have been seeing tremendously heavy rain over that area over the last little while. Coming up on it here, our warning is set to expire at 8 o'clock. But we have so far Not seen any indication of what the Weather Service is planning to do with that. I can easily see this going either way. Heather says no power on Brookwood Drive. Yeah, as a matter of fact, you'll see the Warren, or excuse me, the I will pull up the outage map in just a second, but look at we've finally gotten the push of rain and wind into downtown. There we go. It looks like a hurricane out there. Let's see. Let's see what we're reporting there in terms of the wind gust to about 31. Again, what you're looking at there is downtown Bowling Green, our D93 Skycam, 5-minute gust to 31, so we're not really looking at any huge issues we haven't seen. Yeah. Grace is out of Bowling Green by Bowling Green Ballpark. Yeah, those storms, that's basically the core of the wind moving in now. So our friends out at the ballpark just wanted a nice, peaceful evening with the Hub City. I'm sorry, I've got to check my Spartan Burgers. I'm sorry, the Hub City Spartan Burgers and their White Claws. But not quite getting the baseball they were looking for, and I would also say most of the region is not getting the baseball they were looking for at this hour. Even our friends up in Cincinnati, I have their TV channel up, and they are in a weather delay right now up in the Queen City. So not a lot of baseball happening around these parts here this evening. So that includes downtown Bowling Green. About 5 minutes left on the warning. Yeah, the winds are blowing out there. We had a sustained wind of 16 at the airport. Let me check the mesonet stations here. Actually, we'll just pull those up. You're looking at the view from downtown Bowling Green, where the wind, the heaviest of the wind, just pushed through. I mean, it looked like I almost expected to see Jim Cantore get blown off the parking structure there with just how fast, just how gnarly the winds looked there a second ago. I do not know where Mr. Cantore is. I highly doubt he's in Bowling Green, which is a good sign. Let me see here. So the good news is we have officially canceled the tornado watch, which it was set to expire in 4 minutes for Logan and Butler. But everybody else remains under a severe thunderstorm watch, technically until midnight, but once this line pushes through, the severe weather threat rapidly diminishes. And looking at these are the 1 hour max gusts from the mesonet sites. And you can see WKU Farm gusted to 33. I believe the northern site there is at Basil Griffin, or not Basil Griffin Park, I'm sorry, at Ephraim White Park. Yeah. EWPK is the call sign, yeah, from White Park. Gusted to 39. So we have not seen, thus far, I've not seen any any confirmation of anything close to actual severe gusts, which is good, but a lot of folks really getting that push of wind as that pushes through, and it makes sense. You see this backward C shape on the radar. Well, actually, you can't until I put the radar back full screen. This backward C shape that's pushing through Bowling Green, just pushed past downtown, basically Plano to Plum Springs, on top of Hardcastle and pushing east. As that pushes on through, that's likely where you're getting that gust of heavy wind on the leading edge pushing through. Speaking of the leading edge, let's go back to the view from our Sexton Bin Builder Skycam. This is down in Gold City, where they're just now getting into the rain here shortly. Where it's interesting because we kind of have that outflow boundary from this line of storms pushing through, and it's meeting up with some weaker cells that are behind it. That are pushing into Franklin at this point. So, probably not severe pushing into Franklin, but we'll watch. You kind of can see it out in the distance there, where that where you see that kind of gradient there. Leslie's asking how sure it's not severe. It very well could be. It's just that we don't see those gusts at our particular sites. Again, there's not at each particular site. So the Mesonet site there, there's one at Ephraim White Park. There's one at the WKU Farm. We have our measurements from downtown, our Cyclone Port network of stations and cameras, the D93 Skycam, which we've been showing you, the Sexton Bin Builder Skycam, which you're seeing now. Put the radar back up as Landon's moving the camera down there. So again, the warning goes for another 0 seconds. Waiting to see what the Weather Service does. The warning has expired, and the fact they haven't issued it further east indicates that, as my phone falls, it scared me. Man, what a light show. These are very electrical storms. You can see the gusts. You can see the wind there. If you look second from the left, in fact, we'll bring it back full. There's the Sexton Bin Builder Skycam. You can see it shaking as the gust front pushes through. And the gust front, you can see, if you can see very close, there's Gold City. I want to leave this full screen, but I'm going to try to draw so you can see it. There's the outflow boundary pushing through, right there. Our camera is here. Our station is there. There's Gold City. Along 585 towards 622 up to Temperance. So that's what's pushing in, and that's what we're watching as this pushes through. Still no severe weather reports so far. Folks asking about the likelihood of tornadoes. I don't see anything that leads me to believe that we have a big threat right now. Damaging winds will be the bigger threat. And, we always say, a lot of folks ask about tornadoes. Damaging winds can do just as much. Straight line winds. 60 miles an hour is 60 miles an hour, whether it's spinning or not. So we need to provide that update. Sorry, I was just looking at the Mesonet. Looks like the site at the farm gusted to 40 is all we've seen so far. So I can see why they haven't extended the warning, because while these storms are briefly gusty, you can see you're looking at the Sexton Bin Builder Skycam there in Gold City is pushing to the east. That is the rain that you're seeing. You see the leading edge, and then that just kind of, for lack of a better term, whoosh, that's the rain that's pushing in on the backside of that shelf cloud. But again, we're dropping the warnings all over this line. In fact, north of Nashville, none of this is severe. Springfield, Tennessee, all the way up to, you got to go up to Dry Ridge. That's not Dry Ridge. That's, what is that, Falmouth, Pendleton County up there? Yeah, you got to go all the way up to northern Kentucky before you run into a warning. So we'll stay with you here for a little while. We have no severe thunderstorm warnings. We have no warnings at all. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch for everybody but our friends in Logan and Butler counties. They were under the tornado watch that just expired, and the Weather Service is not going to bump a watch back east. Or back west. It's very rare for that to happen. We're pretty much, once this line pushes through, we're done. Well, there we go. Severe thunderstorm warning there toward Gallatin, Tennessee. But again, you'll notice the features. You're looking at one of them right now. Wait for that shelf to fully move through the Sexton Bin Builder Skycam. Actually, let's just take the radar full screen so I can illustrate what we've got. These individual little storm cells, you notice they're taking on a backward C shape. Right? That is the push of heavy wind. As these storms are beginning to become more, we call it outflow dominated, the exhale of the strong rain-cooled air is pushing the rain out. Hence what we're seeing. Nor is saying Transformer Blue in Bowling Green, Rich Pond, really anywhere in Warren County, south and east of downtown, is dealing with the dramatic wind, though it has not technically been severe to this point. I have not seen any gusts at any of our sites. That doesn't mean you at your house didn't get a 60 mile per hour wind gust. We haven't seen any of that sampled at any of our observation sites at this point. Power outages. While we're looking here, we'll pull those up. This is the Warren RECC map, dealing with about 2,700 or so out on the northwest side of Bowling Green. Richelieu up toward Hadley, Briggs Hill, Sugar Grove, dealing with quite a bit of power out. Same thing as you head over on the northeast side of Russellville, up toward Auburn, which is to be expected. We got about 1,300 or so people out of power there. And just what I was saying earlier, Warren RECC, by the way, a lot of folks downtown potentially without power. So the Weather Service has decided to go with a special weather statement. You will see that pop up. There it is in the thin blue outline. Excuse me, that is a special weather statement with the potential for winds gusting to 50? Yeah, 50 miles an hour. Maybe some small hail at this point. These storms are not severe, but notice just out to the west, the Weather Service out in Paducah has issued a warning for this cell. As always, on the northeast side of Hopkinsville there into Christian County. That's Christian, Muhlenberg, and Todd. It'd be great if you could see it. My apologies. Warning out to the west there. More heavy rain moving toward places like Morgantown over the next little bit. In fact, we'll put everything into motion. Once these storms have cleared you, I don't want to say the severe threat's completely over with, but we are working over our atmosphere pretty good right now. And it took a while for the storms to get going out in West Kentucky, out toward Land Between the Lakes. So they didn't see as much of the fuel eaten away as we're dealing with in our region right now. So that's why I think that storm has gone severe out near Crofton. That's outside of our area, but you notice that's not far away from places like Lewisburg, Dunmore. So we're holding the air here, to use the parlance of our elders. The beaver nuggets are getting soggy, unfortunately, as we are dealing with the heavy rain pushing into Smiths Grove, Smiths Grove exit on 65. I imagine those gas pumps getting a little bit more hard to find. Folks heading down 65 trying to get out of this mess for at least a little while, waiting until it passes before they head back on the road. But these storms are going to start to weaken, and I'll show you why. Northern side there of Allen County. That little outflow boundary. That we've talked about that a little bit here this evening. We are pushing through. We're pushing out rain-cooled air. And once that happens, the storms have a tough time staying together because storms need warm, moist air. They need to breathe in warm, moist air, and they exhale the cool, dry air. If they don't have the right exhaust pipe, if you will, or the right exhaust. If they don't have that, they're going to start to ingest their own. It's like if we started to breathe our own carbon dioxide, we'd suffocate. That's what happens with the storms. Is instead of carbon dioxide, it's rain-cooled air. They can't sustain themselves on rain-cooled air, so they start to fall apart. And that's what I believe and hope is happening as these storms push toward Barren River Lake over the next couple of minutes. And eventually those storms that are going severe out to the west will begin to enter a less favorable environment. Getting a report of a tree on a collapsed house out on Morgantown Road at this point. Just checking my views here. I haven't seen any huge. Let me see some things here. We've been talking about Bowling Green Ballpark. This is a little bit earlier. In the press box at BG Ballpark. It's a tarp! No surprises there. Very heavy rain at the ballpark. Bear with me here. Sorry, off screen looking at the rain falling wistfully at Great American Ballpark. Oh, they're in the dugout. Hey, they may be ready to play baseball. Not in Bowling Green, but up in Cincinnati. Maybe. It's muted, I can't tell. Anyway, reports of, again, we had reports of a house collapse, tree fell on a house at Morgantown Road. That's off the scanner, so we'll watch that. Old Morgantown Road, excuse me. Familiar with Old Morgantown Road. Melissa was asking about Plum Springs. I mean, here we are. But I noticed these storms over the last few scans have been getting more and more ragged, and that would make sense if we're starting to see the outflow, these storms becoming what's called outflow dominated. Hey, they just might be ready to play baseball up there. Sorry, it's my undiagnosed ADHD. Anyway, a look. We've been watching our cameras here throughout the evening, and we haven't brought you any views from our WPBM Barren River Lake camera in a little while. You've seen it at the bottom of the screen, but they are getting in on the shelfie action. Let's see here. It is as zoomed out can be. So there's the view. That's looking northwest from Barren River Lake. From our friends at Proclaim Broadcasting, WPBM. Jessica at the Kentucky Street Apartments, power out there, WKU. That Makes sense. A lot of Bowling Green is without power right now. At least 1,400 to 1,500 folks. Strike that. At least 3,200. I wasn't looking at the right number. A lot of folks as well there into parts of Logan County, into parts of Warren County. In fact, in all of Warren RECC's area, which is a big area. That includes parts of Grayson County and Hart County as well. But a lot of our folks, a lot of Wobbles gets their power from Warren Rural Electric Co-op. 3,400 out in Warren County, about 2,000 in Logan County, which they just serve areas around Auburn in Logan County. Yeah, go Reds, hey. About 700 out in Edmonson County, so not as many power outages there. A lot of Edmonson County has Warren RECC. Same thing with Butler County. They only have about 147 folks out in Butler County, and about 339 out in Simpson County. That makes sense because I don't think Simpson County got hit as hard in terms of just looking at the radar signatures, but we are still seeing tremendously electric storms as these continue to push off to the east. So just checking with Power Outage US. A lot of folks in Logan County without power. Penny Ryle Electric has a lot of folks out in Logan County. About 1,000, about 1,100 of their customers in Logan County without power there at Penny Ryle. Just checking a few things. Obviously, the good news so far, Farmers RECC doesn't have too many people out. Most of them in Hart County, which is just outside of the area, or at least our area. Checking on KU folks. Not a lot. So far, no outages in Allen County or Barron County, which makes sense. But again, heck of a shelf. That's what you're looking at on the Barron River Lake camera. There is that shelf cloud with the tremendous lightning behind it. That's pushing in. You can see the wall of rain beginning to push in. Most of our outages so far have been in Warren and Logan counties. Especially out toward Auburn and on the southeast side of Russellville. The Penny Ryle customers there in Russellville, about 1,100 out. Out Franklin Road, anyone out Franklin Road, Nashville Road, there in Logan County without power. And then Max wind gusts so far have been 43 at Ephraim Light Park. 40 at the farm, WKU farm. The airport gusted to 48 a few times. 753, 756, 802. The airport gusted to 48. So that is below severe limits. Severe limits is 58, so it makes sense as to why these storms did not get warned, and especially because they are starting to weaken as they push to the east, which is a good sign. My goodness, did the Twins already score? Sorry, I was just checking my phone. Bear with me. Byron Buxton, man. Anyway, still dealing with the heavy rain and the storms pushing through. If we don't get any more reports in at least the next few minutes, none of these storms are severe, but they are producing very heavy rain. Power out at the medical center in Russellville. They're on generator power at the medical center in Russellville. Yeah, a lot of Russellville's without power. Or at least a lot of eastern Logan County is without power. The folks in the eastern part of the county there near Auburn and Gasper, a lot of those folks that are Warren RECC customers are without power. Just south of there, or southwest of there along Franklin and Nashville roads, southeast of downtown, that our Pennyrile customers are without power. Checking. I thought we had another. I don't believe we have anybody. Excuse me. So again, looking at the radar, you've been looking at the Barren River Lake camera from our WPBM Proclaim Broadcasting camera there, Barren River Lake. Wow. Okay, I got a video for you. This is from Larissa Arnold, who was taking video of the storm safely. We encourage safety. But here was the view. She sent this to us on X. That is why we tell you to be safe when you're taking video. That is terrifying. Goodness gracious. Sorry, just looking at incoming traffic there. We've gone black and white. We've gone back in time on the Barren River Lake camera. No, it's just night vision. Let's throw the radar back full. And you can see what we're dealing with here. We're really starting to see the storms weaken a little bit. And some of that could be the perspective we're looking at Nashville, from the Nashville radar at Old Hickory, where they're getting in on the action right now. And we may be seeing some attenuation there. but it does look like we are seeing a weakening trend with these storms, and that is encouraging. The storm there north of Fort Campbell there, well, north of Fort Campbell, actually. It's right where Christian, Todd, and Muhlenberg counties come together. Was severe, is no longer. We've hit, they canceled it, I guess. Weather Service in Paducah. Canceled that warning. Severe thunderstorm on top of downtown Lexington right now that has a tornado possible tag on it. That's up well north. That's up toward the bluegrass part of Kentucky. I've got too many radars going on right now. Too many mice. Electronic mice, not, you know, no little scurrying creatures. Yeah, we are really dropping the intensity with these. However, likely still dealing with some very gusty winds pushing toward, and some very heavy rain pushing toward downtown Scottsville, on top of Halifax, and pushing toward Petroleum. It's just about past Pope, not Mark, as that continues to push off eastbound. North side of Glasgow, up 90 there toward Cave City, dealing with some very heavy rain as well. At this point, looking at the velocity, I'll double box it, so the radar's on the left, velocity's on the right. I'm not seeing anything that looks to me like, oh, we got a big pop of wind here, we have rotation or anything like that. I'm just not seeing it. I do think that these storms are weakening as they continue to push eastbound, which makes sense. We're losing the daytime heating. We're getting to a point in the night where things are getting a little more stable, and so that's good. The enhanced risk of severe weather has been dropped, I believe. I'd have to look at the map. I guess it's not. With the storms going on, it's not important to actually look at the thing, but yeah, I think we've dropped out of the enhanced risk. Still, technically, we have a severe thunderstorm watch until midnight for everybody but Butler and Logan. Butler and Logan are not under anything. No watches, no warnings. There are no warnings. We have a special weather statement for the eastern side of Wobbles, and that severe thunderstorm watch that still goes until midnight. I don't think it's going to make it to midnight, quite frankly. It's out to midnight, 1 a.m. local Eastern time, because it goes all the way out to Eastern Kentucky. This thing goes from Franklin to Ashland, from Shelbyville to Jackson. So that's why it goes that late. I think our severe weather threat is diminishing. Now, more heavy rain is certainly a possibility. We did briefly see that storm go severe near, was that Powderly? Weir, Depoy. Out near, it was near Crofton when it went severe. It's not severe anymore. Starting to get into the part where the storms are interacting with the rain-cooled air. So if I don't see a new warning and we don't see any new reports in the next few minutes or so, we will hop off here, just because I think the threat is beginning to diminish. So again, looking at the high-res velocity, we're getting elevated numbers. These are rough estimates, 35 to 40. And you got to account for the fact that some of that's going to diminish as it gets to the ground. So I do think we are quickly beginning to turn this into a brief gusty, well, all right. I'm going to stay on here a little longer. It's not in our region yet. But I want to keep an eye on that storm near Greenville. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Keep an eye on that. Actually, we're going to hold the air here for a little bit. The storms that are pushing east through Allen County and into Barron County, those are not severe. But if you noticed, I'm going to hold on here for a minute because this storm near Greenville has gone tornado warned. And I think you can see why. Very strong indication of rotation near Drakesboro. Now, Drakesboro is outside of our area. That is in eastern Muhlenberg County. But you notice the trajectory here. If this continues on its current path, that will take it very close to Rochester. Let my soul roll on up to the Rochester Dam. And eventually toward Morgantown. So I want to hold on to this for a minute. Because that is an intense little signature there. And I don't know why I can't get the warning to pop up. It is radar indicated out near Central City. It's east of Greenville. It's south of Central City. But I'm going to watch that as this pushes east, because this could very well move into Butler County. They gave a speed on this of 25. Hang on. That is... Hang on. Excuse me there. This thing really likes me, right? There we go. So, I'm just watching this because I popped out of my peripheral vision there. If this holds together, potential tornado-warned storm pushing toward the western part of Butler County within the next 20 minutes. Tesley's saying her husband just got a tornado warning on his phone close to the Rochester side there near in Butler County. That is likely the eastern side of Muhlenberg County. So, bear with me here. I'm going to switch this view to our Morgantown camera. So it's interesting how quickly that popped up. Let's animate this. This is we're looking from the Nashville radar, which is didn't have a good angle on it. So if that continues to push to the east as it is, and watch that close. So no, just perspective here, no warnings are in effect anywhere in WABBLES right now. But we are watching a cell that has gone tornado warned. Since we were already on the air, we decided to just keep the air. I do sound like an old man when I say things like that. We've decided to stay on because we're watching this cell east of Greenville in eastern Muhlenberg County. If it holds together, we're looking at the potential for that to move into Butler County. And that could, in fact, bear with me just 1 second here. That's going to pop away. My apologies. Pop the radar back on there. Sorry, it's a lot of loud thunder here. A lot of folks saying, well, I got the warning on my phone. I'm in Butler County. If your phone is pinging off a cell tower in Muhlenberg County, it'll go off the wireless emergency alert. Right now, there is no tornado warning for Butler County. It is to your west into Muhlenberg County. It is east of Greenville, south of Central City. It's on top of Drakesboro, which is just about 8 miles west of Rochester at this point. Looking at the velocity, it's gotten more broad. That's good news. But near 431, we need to watch this as it pushes east. Looking at it, it really tightened up there for a frame or two and has diminished. So the likelihood is that that was a spin-up tornado, if there was one. Hang on. Let me look. I gotta look at a different source. I want to check something right fast. So bear with me. So again, recapping what we've got: a severe thunderstorm warning. No severe thunderstorm warnings. The storms that are in the eastern part of the region, that are just east of Bowling Green, they're moving toward Glasgow, on top of Scottsville right now. Those are pushing east and weakening. So that's the good news. Most of us are okay right now. Still some moderate rain on top of Bowling Green and further to the west, where a lot of folks don't have power right now, into Warren and Logan counties. But we're watching an area east of Greenville. This is still in Muhlenberg County, but a tornado warning is in effect there for eastern Muhlenberg County. It's not in effect yet for Butler County, but if it continues on its current path and it doesn't weaken, it has the potential. It has certainly looked like it has weakened over the last little bit. I want to look at... Sorry, I'm looking at a couple of different sources here. I just want to see if we lofted, if there was potentially lofted debris on that a little earlier. I tell you what. No? Tell you, it's not out of the realm of possibility that that thing may have dropped a brief tornado near Drakesboro, just west of Drakesboro. The velocity has greatly weakened on it, and that is a good sign. The tornado warning for eastern Muhlenberg County continues until, what is that, 9:15? It's all radar indicated. And it's still rotating a little bit, but I tell you what, it's really lost its composure over the last little bit. So you're looking at the radar on the left and the wind on the right, the velocity. Man. I think it's Angels Bowling League up there tonight. Somebody's throwing strikes. Goodness gracious. Either way, the velocity is weakened greatly. But it is still something to watch. Okay, they canceled the tornado warning. So there are no warnings anywhere around us right now. Closest warning, got to go up to the Lexington Metro. Okay. I don't doubt the potential that there maybe have been a quick spin-up tornado, which is why we said spin-up tornadoes are possible in Muhlenberg County. This storm is pushing east into southern Ohio County and, for our purposes, into southern Butler County, or western Butler County, I should say. At this point, I don't see anything that looks ominous. We've lost the tornado warning. So the likelihood is that we'll be able to hop off here because that storm has really started to weaken. These storms that popped may have briefly acquired rotation along an outflow boundary but are beginning to weaken. So no warnings for our area at all. And in fact, the storms are beginning to weaken. So if we don't hear anything in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to hop off. Josie's asking, is it coming to Muhlenberg? It's through Muhlenberg County. This thing is pushed through Muhlenberg County. If you're in Greenville or Central City, it's outside of our coverage area, but it's directly west of Butler County, which is in our coverage area that we wanted to keep an eye on. But we've gotten one report of severe weather, or one report of potential tree on a house on Old Morgantown Road in Bowling Green. At this point, I have seen the highest gust we've seen locally is 48 miles an hour at the Bowling Green Warren County Airport. Paige is asking about any word on when power might be restored. No, I'm sorry. Power company would have that information. I guess we could look. I mean, they don't have timing there at all on those. But still, a lot of power out in Logan County, a lot of power out in Warren County. Little pop-up storms trying to blow up there in Butler County. But nothing severe, nothing imminently looks to be severe. So as it stands right now, with no severe weather in place, nothing appearing to be imminent, as the storms are encountering the atmosphere that's been worked over and really starting to fall apart. So we're going to hop off for now. Obviously, we'll hop back on if we need to, but at this point, nothing is severe. Just some gusty storms pushing on through. Over the next few hours or so, some gusty storms possible overnight, but the greatest severe weather threat continues to diminish as it pushes off to the east. Technically, a severe thunderstorm watch still in effect for Edmondson, Warren, Simpson, Allen, and Barron counties through midnight. We'll see if that does get knocked out shortly before 9 or 10 o'clock, before at least 10 or 11 o'clock or so. So we'll keep an eye on it. With that, we'll hop back on if we need to, but until then, have a great night, everybody. We'll be keeping